think the bass player that wrote this knew what he was talking about. Poisoning their brainwashed minds. We are being poisoned by psychological, spiritual, chemical, biological, and positronic attacks. It's all admitted. It's all hidden in plain view. It's all admitted your TV is watching you. It's all admitted that it won't be like Maximum Overdrive or Robo-Apocalypse where the machines come after us. The machines are wired into the globalist hubs to dominate and control us. I want to go to Rick, Bailey, Mike, Max, John, and others. I would have gone to you earlier, but we had breaking news. It says that it's a psyop in the document that Joe Biggs was just covering. I mean, it just gets crazier by the minute. And the military's training all over the country for gun confiscation, for cordoning U.S. cities. And, of course, they can argue it's for overseas as well. This is all to condition us. They have giant military training bases at Fort Hood right up the road. They have huge facilities everywhere. This is about preparing the public. And it says in the document, preparing the public to work with us and be around us. This is for the Red Dawn occupation. But most importantly, it's to get the military used to it. Well, let me give U.S. Army Special Operations Command a little news flash, if you don't already know it. We told everybody this was coming 20 years ago, when it was already going on a very small scale, preparing cadres. That's how cancer grows, very small. Now it's ready to give birth, 9 months pregnant, and we're not flat-footed. We know you're coming in. And so bring it. Bring your conditioning. Put troops on the streets. Put your TSA on the streets. Tell us the TVs are watching us. Put cameras in the cars. Just go ahead, show everybody. Go ahead and take the vaccine inserts out so we can't show them folks. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. The veterans know that their uncles and fathers and brothers and sisters have got out of the military and are put on do not treat list. They know they're getting treated like crap. They know they're planning to be replaced with machines soon. Go ahead, push it all. I want to hit this next group of stories. We're going right back to your calls, but this is who runs the show that we're about to cover. These stories all tie together. Fed opens door wider for rate hike, but downgrades economic outlook. Let's stop right there. They've been giving themselves trillions of QE to the private banks at 0% or lower. The general public doesn't get cheap credit because they don't want to cause inflation, plus they want to screw everybody over. Because if you're going to do this dollar devaluation, might as well let people run the economy and build something up to do it. At least you get something out of that, not hyper-stag inflation they're trying to cook up. That's totally unnatural. Swedish central bank cuts key rate further below zero. The U.S. globalist system doing this has the world racing to lower interest rates. Swedish central bank took its key interest rate further into negative territory Wednesday. They make you pay to put money in the bank in a surprise move aimed at supporting a return to inflation because there's a global depression. Now, that ties into the big kahuna here from Max Slavo up on Infowars.com from the You Know What Hit the Plan site. Bailout is back. Fannie and Freddie likely need additional Treasury investment after derivatives losses. Derivatives are bigger now. You can look at the graphs. We're going to go to some of those than they were in 2008 now. Gotta love that reform. There is trouble again for federal mortgage backers and bailout queens Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Yeah, just 6 months ago, they wouldn't give people jumbo loans. Now they're giving the jumbo loans. They're giving the small loans out too. Jumbo's above 400, 500,000, depending on how they rate it. And they're starting to let that money flow out there a little bit because it's derivatives. They're selling the houses 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 times over to different chump groups that buy them. Mainly they're investing your pension funds in them so they can steal them later in the name of protecting them. We know the exact battle plan because we've seen them shake and bake it in other places. Just like we've seen them do their military drills all over the world. Rand Corporation wrote handbooks on it in the 50s, how to train folks for military occupation. We've played Army PSYOP drill footage, declassified in the 80s here. In fact, when Joe Biggs cuts that report, guys, pull up the clips we never had in the Obama Deception 2 of the Army internal PSYOP brainwashing films on how to occupy a country. And I want to show clips of that during Joe Biggs' piece on this, on the military conditioning operations, where Texas is listed as hostile, one of only a few states in the U.S., and we'll show the other ones that they're listing as why they got to run this PSYOP. And, yeah, we're hostile to having our 5-year-olds taught how to be trannies, and we're hostile to having our borders wide open, having to pay for it all. And we're hostile to turning our guns in. We're hostile to having our farms taken. We're hostile to being treated like slaves. And you notice it's Texas, not perfect, but Texas, the spirit of Texas. Texas is doing more fighting than all the other states combined right now. And just Ron Paul comes out of Texas, I'm here. You just notice the spirit's here. The Lone Star State's here, and we're not ever giving up. And so you can bring all your Navy SEALs and all your Delta Force here you want. You think they're going to buy the PSYOP of fighting the American people? I know. You'll use Delta Force units, and we know they're involved in dirty work to stage the false flags. You really think that's going to float? You really think the Navy SEALs refused to do a false flag for Dick Cheney in 2007? That was put out by Cy Hirsch in New Yorker magazine. Do you think if they wouldn't do a false flag to blame the Iranians, do you think they're not going to leak it all to us? I was having dinner with William Binney, the former head director of operations for the National Security Agency last night for 2 hours. And he was telling me how when the feds tried to create fake documents that he was leaking secret data, that the Justice Department leaked to him how they'd faked it by people inside risking their lives. The more you squeeze, the more we're going to wake up and resist. Go ahead, blow up a truck and say I did it. Everybody knows it's not true. And I'm done with you people. You want to play chicken? You want to go head on? Let's do it. It'll be just like the Alamo all over again. Strike us down, we become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Any other Star Wars analogy you want. You just don't mind control everybody, globalists. You got that? You want to make things so ugly that the average person gets scared deep down and turns inside and gives up. Well, we're not giving up. And the thing about the spirit of liberty is it's infectious, scum. Let's go back to the articles. Now, here's the one I want to get to. As they sign us on to it's now 2 point plus quadrillion. It's over. It was 1.5 6 years ago. Now then it was 2, the Wall Street Journal. Now it's 2.3, they're saying, or higher, quadrill. That's $2,300 trillion. That's, depending on the numbers, 20, 30, 40 times more than all the wealth in the world that these bankers created as a black hole to sign all of us onto that we don't owe. Why would anyone want to do this to prosperity? Why would anyone want to screw everything over? Why would anyone want to feed kids McDonald's food that on record sterilizes rats and then put images of dead babies out front? It's a freak show, man. And I'm not a freak. The Pentagon has Texas listed as its enemy. And I want to add to Joe's report, Forbes and others, about Pentagon trains to take on the Tea Party. This is it, folks. I don't know if it'll be next month or 5 years from now, but I'm telling you, they're going to detonate a nuke in a major city and blame it on patriots and have HD video of patriots taking responsibility for it. HD video is phony as all the rest of the phony CG stuff you see. John Wayne's back doing commercials. No, folks, John Wayne died 30-something years ago. Elvis is back making commercials. No, man, he's dead. You understand that? Mad Dog Ben Richards didn't butcher the women in Bakersfield. It ain't real. You got it? Now let's go over this. 10 charts which show we are much worse off than just before the last economic crisis. Articles on Infowars.com. If you believe that ignorance is bliss, you might not want to read this article. And then it goes into all of it. The national debt, and here we have from the federal government, the numbers, U.S. Department of the Treasury, or FREDS, the website. And we see from 1970 to now an exponential growth curve in the national debt. When Obama came in, it was $9 trillion. Now it's almost $19 trillion. Let's look at number 2, total debt, not just national debt. Let's look at that graph. Exponential, hyperbolic numbers on that front. $60 trillion in global debt, not counting derivatives, 2.3 quadrillion. You did hear me say 2.3 quadrillion. It's hard to say 2.3 quadrillion, but it is harder to even say 2,000 trillion, 2,300 trillion. Only in the New World Order. Only in America do you have Planet Fitness with guys in pink outfits saying don't grunt, with alarms on the walls when you grunt, they run over and yell at you. I mean, what and Starbucks saying don't, oh, you're white, you're evil. I mean, give me a break. Number 3, the velocity of money. When an economy is healthy, money tends to change hands and circulate through the system quite rapidly. So it makes sense that the velocity of money fell dramatically during the last recession. But why has it kept going down since? Because they're giving themselves free money at the high level to buy everything up while cutting it off to us. The hyperstag rape inflation, the term I coined. The homeowner rate. As they did the plan of the Democrats, instead of a chicken in every pot, a house in every pot, home ownership has plunged since 2000 to an absolute record low. Look at that graph right there. Massive plunge. Isn't it loving? Number 5, the employment rate, all-time low. It did a dead count bounce under Obamacare in the last 2 years because tens of millions of people had to get a second or third job, and that was counted as another person employed. But there's that graph right there. Number 6, the labor force participation rate. Look at that plunging. 100+ million people on welfare, hundreds of millions not working, just a total joke. More illegals pouring in faster than you can shake a stick at it. Number 7, the inactivity rate for men in their private working years. Absolutely exploding right there. Real median household income, let's look at that. Plunging massively since 2000 from the Fed's own website. Here we go. Let's look at the number 9 now. Not trying to be negative here, just telling you the fact. Inflation. Up, despite the fact there's a depression in the real economy. And number 10, government dependence, absolutely skyrocketing in the last 30 years to ultra-massive levels. Is this an economic recovery? Well, yes, 2 + 2 = 5. Raising the debt limit doesn't raise the debt limit. If you have a business, you didn't build that. And dead babies with pus dripping out of their eyeballs and skulls and satanic symbols outside McDonald's in Austin. Everything's wonderful. Everything is awesome. And see, Alex Jones is the crazy man. Because I met with the Houston, I'm not going to get into that. I met with the San Antonio police chief, the Kingsville police, I made films about it. I met with the former director of operations of the National Security Agency last night. But long before I met with those people, I was told all of this by military veterans and people who'd worked in the CIA and retired FBI agents and current federal marshals when I was like 17, 18 years old. I was told this stuff by FBI agents and people when I was 10 years old in Dallas, Texas. All of it. And American patriots have held this back this long, and now it doesn't matter. The globalists are just going to push it through no matter what. From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape, but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. I told everybody this was coming 20 years ago when it was already going on a very small scale, preparing cadres. That's how cancer grows, very small. Now it's ready to give birth, 9 months pregnant, and we're not flat-footed. We know you're coming in. And so bring it. Bring your conditioning. Put troops on the streets. Put your It's all admitted. It's all hidden in plain view. It's all admitted your TV is watching you. It's all admitted that it won't be like Maximum Overdrive or Robo-Apocalypse where the machines come after us. The machines are wired into the globalist hubs to dominate and control us. I want to go to Rick, Bailey, Mike, Max, John, and others. I would have gone to you earlier, but road, they have huge facilities everywhere. This is about preparing the public, and it says in the document, preparing the public to work with us and be around us. This is for the Red Dawn occupation. But most importantly, it's to get the military used to it. Well, let me give U.S. Army Special Operations Command a little news flash, if you don't already know it. We had breaking news. It says that it's a PSYOP in the document. that Joe Biggs was just covering. I mean, it just gets crazier by the minute. And the military's training all over the country for gun confiscation for cordoning U.S. cities. And, of course, they can argue it's for overseas as well. This is all to condition us. They have giant military training bases at Fort Hood right up the... I think the bass player that wrote this knew what he was talking about. Poisoning their brainwashed minds. We are being poisoned by psychological, spiritual, chemical, biological, and positronic attacks